In the past two videos, I've been talking a lot about old school versus new school. And the whole point is that I'm trying to get the message out there that you don't need the fanciest new technology in order to master diabetes. Today, I'm going to just hone in on that point by going over CGMs versus just using blood sugar test strips. Because CGMs, everyone just rants and raves about. They're so important. And it's true, they are convenient. They're very convenient. But you do not need a CGM. You don't need a CGM to tame type 1 and control your diabetes. They're very useful, they're very convenient for that purpose, but they're not essential. And I just really want to drive this point home by going over a few of the drawbacks of CGMs, a few of the upsides of strips, and help you get a more balanced view of it and help you understand that you don't need to pay out the butt for the fanciest new technology in order to truly change the disease. I myself always use blood sugar strips and I don't use a CGM at all. And I'm able to have an A1C of 5.0 despite that. So it's within you. You can do it. And I'm going to explain why. First off, CGMs, of course, are continuous glucose monitoring systems. And the whole idea is you have this thing on your arm or your stomach or wherever. It tests your blood sugar constantly all day and you see a trend. In theory, that's amazing. But in practice, there are a few issues with CGMs. First off, they're not always so accurate. Some brands are notorious for their inaccuracy and others are a little bit better. I had a Freestyle Libre for a while that I used for a few weeks. And while it was nice to see the trends, it was very inaccurate. Often it was either 40 points too high or 40 points too low compared to when I would just test my blood sugar. And that's a real problem. I couldn't share any of my trends online that whole time I was using the Freestyle Libre. And that was the whole point. That's one reason I wanted to have it. And it was very inconvenient. And you can't calibrate the Freestyle Libre, unfortunately. So you're just stuck with that forever. Whereas with other brands, such as Dexcom, like the new Dexcom G6, you can calibrate it. And from what I've heard, it is a lot more accurate. But it's still not 100%. You still end up needing to test your blood sugar sometimes anyways to either calibrate it or to double check and see if it's working. As idealistic as CGMs are, you can never go just CGM. You still need to test sometimes either way. Whereas with test strips, you don't need a CGM to know that a test strip is accurate because test strips are already pretty accurate. Even the really cheap ones are much more accurate than your CGM typically is. And not just more accurate, but they're way cheaper too. With CGMs, they're very expensive. A lot of them have this proprietary software to where they shut down after a couple weeks. You have to get a new one, and that can be very expensive if you don't have insurance. You have to keep getting new sensors all the time, and you're stuck with it. But with blood sugar test strips, they can be very cheap. I know of plans you can get right now, and I go over this in my Affordable Diabetes series, I'll link that below, where you can get unlimited test strips sent to you to your door in the mail automatically all the time, as many as you use for, $30 a month. And that's great. That's way cheaper than a CGM is, even with insurance. And that's without insurance, by the way. That's just out of pocket. So they're much more affordable than CGMs are, and you're not stuck to them. Now, I understand if you've had a CGM for a long time. Let's say you've only used a CGM. You've not been diabetic long enough to know the life before them. I have. Then you might think, I can't possibly go without it. It is impossible to not go without my CGM. And I can understand that. When I was using the Freestyle Libre, it was so nice. It was so convenient. It was so useful, despite the fact that it wasn't accurate. And I could see why people would assume that they just can't live without it. But it's not true. People have had diabetes for a long time, far longer than CGMs have been around. And they're getting by just fine before it. And I get by just fine without CGM now. So if your expenses are really high, you can't afford your CGM supplies, don't feel like you have to. All right? Save that money. Get a test strip plan instead. Get unlimited like I do, and you can still see trends if you test enough. But don't break your wallet just to get CGMs because you've been tricked into thinking they're essential. they're not essential. They're useful, they're really convenient, they're nice to have, but they're not essential and they have their own drawbacks. I just want to make that clear to everyone. You don't need the newest tech. While it is nice, you don't need it. Don't spend too much money on your diabetes. Save that money up for your other pursuits in life. And for some nice steak, you deserve that once in a while. And keep taming that type 1, no matter if you use CGM or not. As all, folks, if you like this video, if you like the message I'm sending out there about managing diabetes and managing it the right way without having spent too much money, please be sure to share this video around, like it, like the page, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and follow me on all my social media to keep up on my latest videos. I'll see you next time, and for now, keep taming that type 1.